Welcome back, everybody. This is episode 9 in the Clappercast. I'm Burke,
And I'm Sean.
and today we're going to talk about mostly the playoff race, and we got some suspension talk.
Yeah,
and
gonna be some good arguments on suspensions here because it's getting a little bit crazy with what's going on with the disciplinary action.
spinning the wheel.
Yeah,
Almost
I'm
every
also
time.
concerned there might be a weighted wheel. Like we're gonna have to check this thing for its fairness because it's looking a little bit like someone's put a magnet or something on one of the
It
one of the
doesn't have
slots.
equal value on no
Yeah.
suspension or suspension.
Yeah, it's not fair.
Yeah, it's more like picking a number out of a hat at this point. But there's more of certain numbers than others.
Yeah,
So, anyway, I guess let's just jump into the playoff race because that's, there's only a month left in the season.
month left. Yeah, teams are down to the last 12, 14 games here.
Yeah, it seems like it's gone by really fast this year.
I'm shedding tears right now.
Yeah.
The season's almost over.
I'm a little torn because I love having hockey all the time, but I also really miss playoffs.
One of my favorite things is just like on weekends, wake up like on the West Coast and there's hockey like an hour after you get up, right
Yeah.
through to the end of the day,
Yeah, it's like 9 till 7 p.m.
basically.
Or 9 till 10 p.m., I guess. So, yeah. Let's start with the East. So, the race is really in the Metro at this point because it looks like Tampa, Boston, and Toronto kind of have those Atlantic 1, 2, and 3 spots locked up.
Yeah, I don't think there's any chance of Montreal catching any of them.
Yeah, Montreal's kind of in the bottom of the wild card race. So in the Metro right now, I've written down some stats. So the Caps are currently in first place. So they've got 69 games played and 89
Nice.
points. And then the last 10 games, they've gone 9-1-0, and they've got 7 straight W's. And that's the best streak in the league right now, which isn't really that hard because I think the next longest is like 2 games.
Yeah, Edmonton was at 4 and then they lost.
So I really like that. I'll touch more on that later because I have some more stuff about the Caps. So in second place is New York Islanders. So they were in first for quite a while, but the Caps have kind of surged ahead a bit.
Is that the Caps? Like obviously the 7-game win streak is going to propel them, but has New York kind of faltered off a little bit, quieted down in the last few games?
Well, they've got a game in hand in the Capitals.
Okay.
But even if they were to win their next game, they'd still be 2 points back.
Okay.
So there are 68 games played and 85 points. So, like I said, 4 points back. And in their last 10, they've gone 4-5-1.
Okay. So they did slow down a little bit from the looks of it.
So, yeah. I think really after that whole Tavares thing, they've kind of been on a skid here.
That was kind of like the climax.
Yeah, all their emotions and everything
Yeah.
were running high. And then that was kind of the storyline for the season, right? Like,
Right.
we don't need Tavares, and we're going to be a good team despite that.
And
And
then they
then-
kind of proved they don't need Tavares
Yeah, they
by
proved it.
kicking the Leafs.
And I don't know if it's related. Maybe they've just been meeting some hot teams. Like, I mean, the Capitals beat them on this streak. So
Yeah. Which, I mean, every team's going to have. I mean, 4-5-1 really. I guess that's like bottom 10 in the league for like points percentage, but that's every team's going to have a random streak
yeah, I
like
mean,
that.
it's not the worst, but they're still getting points. But there's those 5 losses could come back to bite them.
Yeah.
So
So,
anyway, next up in the third Metro spot is the Penguins. So there's 69 games played and
Nice.
83 points. Yeah, nice.
I was going to say that every time.
And they're 6-2-2 in their last 10.
So the Pens have really turned it up a notch,
Yeah.
as
And,
apparently expected, because they're the Penguins coming into a clutch moment.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to mention about them is that their trades have been paying off. I'm not sure about their defense, but their forwards have been doing really well for them. Jared McCann has been lighting it up. Canucks legend,
Canucks,
Jared
yeah.
McCann. And Nick Bukestad has been pretty good for them, too.
Yeah, so I think, they've got the high-end talent, they've got the stars, they just need great depth players.
Yeah.
So,
I might as well mention the Capital stuff now because it's not very much and it's not enough for its own little thing. But the Capitals have had 16 consecutive penalty kills.
Oh, wow.
Successful. And there's 5 last night against
That's
the
pretty good.
Jets. I
Carl
think,
Hagelin
yeah,
effect.
Hagelin has been a huge part of that. He had like something absurd, like 7 minutes of PK time in a game a couple of nights ago.
So he's basically just the PK1 unit.
Yeah. And then he got a really nice goal out of the box. yesterday where Nick Dowd did that backhand floater.
Oh yeah, that was a beautiful sauce.
Dowd's done that earlier in the season to Stevenson, so he needs a fast guy to play with. He can just do that backhand sauce.
Yeah.
But I just also wanted to mention that Jensen has been settling in really nice. He's been playing on the third pair. They kind of been shuffling the deep pairings around, but he's looked really well. He can skate the puck out of the zone, which is really nice.
Yeah, so these little trade deadline acquisitions the Caps are making the last couple of years are crucial.
Yeah, they're not shaking things up. And to go along with that, they haven't been making any roster changes during this win streak. They haven't been scratching anybody different. They've had Jaskin, I don't know how Jaskin, I think.
I hear
Dmitry Jaskin, yeah. He hasn't played in so long, I don't forget how to say his name. But him and Stevenson have been scratched, and Juice have been scratched throughout this winning streak. And I think that's important to have, when a team's hot, don't fuck it up. Don't change anything.
Consistency, chemistry.
And those guys are still practicing, and they're still fresh when they need them for playoffs and everything. And the last thing I'll mention before we can get on to the rest of the Metro and East is that Devontae Smith-Pelly got a hat trick in a Hershey Bears game. And
AHL legend.
Yeah, so he's doing well.
That's good.
He'll be ready for playoffs, I think. It's good because he was playing horribly at the NHL level, and to send him down might, fire him up a bit and maybe get him to be conditioned a bit more so he's not fat boy mode.
Yeah, especially he was such a huge part of that playoff run last year.
Oh, he was massive.
Like he was basically good for one insanely good play every game or two.
Yeah, he got like a sick goal every couple games or so.
It was like he'd have an okay-ish game where he made a couple of dumb plays, but like it never really caused anything bad. But he'd have every second game just a wicked snipe off the rush.
Yeah, that tying goal.
And
was just crazy. Yeah, so I congratulate to him. I think that's his second AHL hat trick. I don't know. But anyway, let's get back to the playoff race. So in wildcard 1, so they're also fourth in the Metro, is Carolina. So they're 68 games played and 81 points. So they're 2 points back of Pittsburgh at 83. And their last 10, they're 7-2-1. So they're firing on all cylinders here.
Yeah. And again, like they've been one of the hottest teams this in 2019.
Yeah.
And I don't know, they've got energy.
Yeah, and the thing I wanted to mention about them is I saw this cool article about Justin Williams, and it was talking to him and talking to the former teammates on the Capitals about him and how much he meant to that team. He was on the team for 2 or 3 seasons, and he's from a winning culture in LA, and back in his time with Carolina before, he knew what it meant, what it took to win, and he was huge in changing that atmosphere in the locker room. So it was just talking about how he had never rooted for a team as much to win as he did for those Capitals, and how they FaceTimed him after they won, and
that's cool to see even after he was gone from the team how much he meant to the guys in the room.
He was just a fun guy and the huge locker room guy, and then it was also talking about how he's brought that to Carolina, that winning mentality.
Yeah.
And,
which I think for Carolina, they've got a pretty young core, so it's great to have this experience.
He was named captain, and I think he deserves it. And
for sure, he's one of the best leaders in the league.
And I think they're heating up at the right time here.
Yeah.
And
they're going to come in, assuming they make the playoffs, they're going to be like this energetic underdog that might just stir shit up.
Yeah, and their attendance has been up too.
I think so. I think
it was the game where they got just destroyed. Who was that? To the Jets?
Yeah, the Jets and
I think it was the Jets. Yeah. But yeah, they just destroyed them. But their attendance was up. Like it was the highest or something. It had been in a while.
Yeah, which that's a nice sign.
Yeah.
Like
so,
you want to see these markets succeed.
I think it'd be huge for them to make it into playoffs. And in wildcard 2 is Columbus.
So they're still kicking around apparently.
Yeah. So they've got 68 games played and they're at 79 points. So another 2 points back of Carolina. So they're 4 back of Pittsburgh. And in their last 10, they're 5-5-0.
So very average since the trade deadline.
I believe I forgot to mention the date for the beginning.
Oh.
Anyway, it's March 11th. And Columbus plays Pittsburgh tonight.
Again. Isn't that like the third time in the last
Yeah,
like
it
week?
seems like a crazy amount.
Because yeah, they got beat by Pittsburgh pretty badly when they started Corpus Salo. I think like late last week would have been like Friday or Saturday.
Yeah, and they played on the trade deadline.
And Columbus just beat Pittsburgh.
No. Wait, am
like,
I crazy? Let's just check, because I think they played them today.
Columbus did just win like last night or the night before.
They might play the Islanders.
Yeah, they played the
They
Islanders.
played the Islanders. Okay, my bad. I knew there was a Metro matchup, and I thought it might have been Pittsburgh, but yeah, so they play the Islanders. So that's a huge game for them.
Yeah,
and it's big for for the Islanders as well, because if they start sliding now,
I mean,
Pittsburgh's hot, Carolina's hot, and
dare we say Columbus?
Columbus, if they win this game,
what are they back of the Islanders? Like 6 points, 7 points?
they are 6 points, same amount of games played.
So, I mean, that's not unrealistic for a 6-point swing. It's difficult at this time of the season when there's only 12 games left. But
yeah, but I mean, Islanders are 4-5-1 in their last 10, so it's a huge game, really big game tonight.
Yeah.
And then I also wanted to mention, now that we're on Columbus, is that Duchesne is in 9 games. He's 1 goal and 3 assists, and he's playing with Breadman.
I'm just sitting here
Atkinson,
kind
I
of
think.
laughing.
And then Dzingel has 3 assists in 7 games, and Kincaid is yet to play, and McQuaid is like their extra D-man, so he's been scratched a few times.
Yeah, that's rough.
So if they're battling for that wild card spot, like, they better hope they're not wild card 2.
Yeah, because then they're going to have to get shit stomped by Tampa.
Yeah, and it's a team that has never won in the playoffs, ever. Do you really want to play Tampa?
Yeah. And I mean,
like, it just seems like they would have no confidence.
Yeah, that's such a bad look coming in with these guys that they just gave up so much for to, place everything on this one playoff run.
Yeah.
And the players are not doing much at all.
So they've just gone all in, and then they're...
So
it takes time to build chemistry.
Yeah, especially with a coach like Torts, probably comparatively to some of the other guys they're used to playing under. Though I feel like Guy Boucher is kind of probably one of a similar type.
He looks very scary.
Yeah.
He looks intimidating.
He looks more intimidating than Torts, but is he more intimidating?
Probably not. Probably not. Probably just relies on that scar to strike fear in his players.
He'll just kind of do that thing where you got the evil villain in the chair with the light shining on that one side of his face.
Yeah.
Call players into meetings with that.
So getting back to the standings here in the East is just below Columbus is Montreal with 69 games played.
Nice.
And 79 points. So they're tied points-wise, but they're a game... Columbus has a game in hand.
Okay.
And they're also 5-5-0 in their last 10, and they're on a 2-game skid.
Montreal's kind of a surprise this season.
Yeah, I didn't think they were going to be that good.
Yeah.
And then they've kind of been sliding down a bit. But, I mean, they're playing in the Atlantic, so they were really... If they're going to get
they were
in,
destined
they're
for a
gonna
wild
be
card spot, basically.
And then the last team I'll mention here for the East is Philly. So they're 68 games played, and they're at 74 points. So they're a bit behind everybody. So they're 5 points back of Montreal and Columbus. But they're 6-3-1 in their last 10, and they're 18-5-2 in their last 25.
Yeah, so Philly's turned it up big time.
They were last in the league on January 9th.
Which is this, we think back to Ottawa with a Hamburglar a few years back there. Like, it's possible for a team to go on some insane 25-game run and jump up the standings like that.
Yeah, Philly just seems like such a streaky team the last 4 or 5 seasons.
They're really good, then really bad, then really good, then really bad.
I remember, like, a few years back, I think it might have been Gostisbehere's first season when they were talking about or when they had a really shitty streak or something, and they went on, like, that huge winning streak. Do you remember that? And
I think so.
And then Voracek said something like, "Oh, we just had some beers with the boys, and
yeah, I totally remember that. We just
decided we wanted to win or something." So maybe they're just drinking again, and maybe
Brought back the
they'll-
old Philly culture.
Yeah, maybe Gritty's involved now, and
I wonder if they kept Yori Laterra's phone number.
yeah, life of the party. So I don't know. It just seems like the Metro is kind of the race in the East,
Yeah.
and then Montreal's kind of that last Atlantic team to try and get in.
Which is it's funny just having three of the best teams in the league in the one division taking up all those spots, where it's like you're not even Montreal can't even try to fight for a divisional spot.
yeah,
It's like, well, we're never gonna catch them. We're not as good as them.
yeah,
So it's like, oh, we just got to go for these wild card spots. That's it.
yeah. So if it's probably gonna be a Boston Toronto first round matchup. So the second straight year.
2 thumbs up.
And
I can't wait for
Yeah,
Game 7.
me neither. Can't wait to see the Leafs be up and then lose.
Maybe they've got enough experience this time.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we'll see what Jake Gardner does, and
Yeah.
if he gets booed out of Toronto and then leaves. Anyway, let's move to the West maybe. The West is kind of all
It's
over the
heating up.
place.
It's no longer the battle of teams who have won 2 in the last 20. It's actually teams who are playing about pace for their points percentage.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll start with the Central, I guess.
The former Thunderdome.
Yeah. This is the division everybody thought was going to be crazy.
Yeah, and it's not.
It's a little toned down. So Winnipeg is first in the Central. 68 games played, 84 points, and they're 4-5-1 in their last 10.
And they've been notoriously on a bit of a weak stretch the last few weeks here.
Yeah, well, Morrissey's out and Bufflin's out, and you can tell.
Yeah.
You can definitely tell.
Very, very much so.
And
Doesn't
Laine's been scoring a bit more, though.
more than his no goals in 20 games.
He's still got, 30?
Yeah, after he put up 20 goals in a week or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, so...
But yeah, for a team they're not the deepest on defense. They're kind of playing guys over where they should be, but they've got such a good team that it works. But when
Yeah.
they start losing their top 4 defenders like that, it's going to show pretty badly.
Yeah. I thought the game last night, it was Capitals versus Winnipeg. I thought it was going to be a bit rougher because the last time the two teams played, it was when Morrissey did that body slam on Oshie and Tanev elbowed Kuznetsov in the head. There was a few times in the game where it was a little rowdy, but it wasn't crazy.
Yeah, kind of died down.
But you could tell that they'd missed Bufflin and Morrissey a lot.
Yeah.
Especially on the power play.
Oh, for sure.
Like I
Bufflin
said-
on the power play,
Like I said earlier,
need
there was
that.
5 power plays in the game for the Jets, and they didn't score on any of them.
Yeah.
And they have a really strong power play when they're firing on all cylinders, right?
Yeah. So who ended up playing on their first power play was probably Trouba.
Yeah, Trouba.
Yeah. So I guess he's no slouch, but I guess it's probably a step down from Bufflin.
Yeah, because I think his shot is just way worse.
Yeah.
So
Not to mention Bufflin being half a forward,
yeah,
being able to transition so well with who's probably there, Wheeler and Scheifele and Laine.
yeah. So they're holding up first in the Central.
Yeah.
Because they're 1 point up on Nashville, and Nashville's played 2 more games.
So that's going to be tough for Nashville trying to catch up.
Yeah, well, Nashville's at 70 games played and 83 points, and they're 5-5-0 in their last 10.
So not substantially better than
So
Winnipeg,
they're
but
500 hockey team right now in the
Yeah.
last 10. And then rounding up third here in the Central is St. Louis, they have got 68 games played, and they're at 79 points, and they're 5-3-2 in their last 10.
so that's the St. Louis we expected to see this season. Now that they've turned it around from their horrendous start,
Yeah, and having a coach be fired and changing everything.
which is Mike Yeo going to get another shot in the NHL?
Probably Ottawa, maybe.
Yeah. He doesn't sound like he's had a great reputation as a head coach coming from Minnesota and St. Louis now.
Yeah.
But maybe
Maybe.
he does end up in Ottawa. It's their only shot.
Yeah, couple notes. I know you wanted to bring up Binnington.
Yeah, so Jordan Binnington has been absolutely phenomenal for a rookie goalie coming in and just stealing a whole bunch of games for the team.
Low-key serial killer, though.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of the interviews with him?
He's just got that deadpan, emotionless
Yeah,
glare.
they were like, oh, are you nervous at all going into this game? And he's like, "Do I look nervous?"
Yeah,
and then
so
he's just a man of very few words.
Yeah.
Like they try and have fun with him on the, like
he's like, no.
like Pierre will ask him something, or
Well, it's Pierre. Give it.
what's his name? The St. Louis, the other bald short guy,
Darren Pang.
Panger. Yeah, he'll ask him and try and play around with him, and he won't.
Nothing.
Just nothing.
Yeah, so, I mean, he's looking at like a 1.8 something goals against average, 930 save percentage.
Yeah.
And I think he's played about 20-ish games right now. If I looked up the thing right.
Yeah, I think I want to say around like 25 or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, so the other thing I wanted to mention with him is I've seen his name linked to a bit of a Calder run based off of his exemplary performance so far. So I looked a little bit into it to see, like, does he have a shot for it? Does he have any, like, what's the precedent for goalies? So he's going to max out around, like, 35 games probably. Even though his stats are unreal, the other goalies who have won Calder trophies have played, like, 55 plus 60 games.
Yeah, so a lot more.
Yeah, so that's quite a step down, especially in a year when we've got Pettersson and Dahlin lighting it up for their teams. So as good as he's been, I don't think he has a shot at the Calder just for games played so far.
Yeah. There's a lot more skaters, rookies that are playing more games. Yeah. Like it bugged me the last time we talked about Calder. We left out can't remember names, but the D-man on Dallas.
Heiskanen. Yeah, he gets overlooked so much.
Yeah.
He's having an unreal season. Like, he's so good. He's so fast, and he's going to be like a really, really good puck-moving defenseman.
Yeah. Another thing with St. Louis is Tarasenko's hurt with an upper body injury, and he's out at least 10 days.
Okay, so he'll miss a few games.
Yeah. And he's been definitely turning it up, so that's going to hurt them. But, I mean, the team as a whole has been playing a lot better, so...
Yeah. And, I mean, if they're playing in front of a hot goalie, they've got a solid defense. I think they can probably shut it down for a couple of games.
Yeah.
Until Tarasenko's back.
Yeah, so do you want me to just do the Central all at once and then the Pacific, or do you want me to do the Pacific and then talk about the wild card?
Probably go Pacific then wild card, because that's where the real race is.
Yeah, okay. So in the Pacific, Calgary's in the number 1 spot. Your favorite?
I'm physically in pain right now.
Let's see if you'll get this. They're at 69 games played.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. Even though it's Calgary. And they're they're at 91 points.
Yeah.
So quite a bit better than the Central.
Yeah. Calgary, I think they're second in the league. Or did Boston pass them in their streak here?
I don't know. I don't have the numbers written down for the Atlantic because it's just there was no real point.
There was no point.
But I think they're probably close.
Yeah.
Probably close.
Yeah. Because I know it's basically the top 4 teams are Tampa, Calgary, Toronto, and Boston, but I can't remember which order 2 to 4 are.
Well, Toronto might be a little bit down now. Because anyway, Calgary's at 91 points and they're 6-4-0 in their last 10. They've been rolling kind of 2 goalies, Mike Smith and David Riddick.
Yeah, they haven't. It's kind of weird. Like, they haven't had a bona fide number 1. So you wonder, if one of them is going to turn it up for the playoffs, or are they going to somehow manage that 2 goalie system that we never see work in the playoffs?
Yeah, well, Riddick is playing like way better
than
he was hurt.
Okay.
But his save percentage is like way better and his GAA is way better than Mike Smith.
Yeah, so Riddick also, like, he started super hot early this season.
Yeah.
And then he really cooled off, so I'm not sure if he's turned it back around yet.
I think so. Points off for not fighting Marc-Andre Fleury, though. I really wanted to see a goalie fight.
Damn. It's been a while.
Yeah, so here's what my prior comment meant. So San Jose is at 68 games played, but they're at 90 points.
Oh.
And they're 7-2-1 in their last 10.
So that's going to be a pretty tight race for first.
They've won 4 straight. So they're number 2 streak in the league right now.
Yeah.
So I think they're probably above Toronto points-wise. Not that it really matters.
I actually didn't even realize San Jose was that close.
But yeah.
But I guess that's streak.
There's been a couple articles saying like they're gunning for that number 1.
Well, I'm sure they'd rather play the Western wild card that slumps into the playoffs than Vegas.
Exactly.
Especially because they're gonna have Carlson come back for the playoffs too.
Yeah, Yeah, he's, I think, trying to come back right before playoffs,
Yeah.
but
He said he's basically not coming back until the playoffs, so he might show up for like the last game as like a conditioning stint.
yeah, he needs to, like, with the amount of injuries he's had, he cannot come back early now.
Yeah.
Like, he just can't do
I
it.
think it's the same. He's had groin issues all season too.
Yeah, I think it's like he said it was like not the same issue but related. So whatever that means. It's not
Far a different
it's
spot on the
probably
same
a
muscle.
situation where like it was still bothering him, so he tweaked something else has like
So like to try and compensate
to try
or
and
adjust
compensate, yeah.
Yeah.
Something
for that,
else
ended up injuring
ended up
another
getting hurt.
area.
Yeah.
Right.
Um
I will mention this though. I just saw today, the Sharks actually have a significantly better record without Karlsson than with him. So, whatever
maybe
that
that's-
means.
Maybe that's because they see him in the locker room and they're just like, man, we gotta win for this guy. Stupid sexy Carlson.
Yeah.
He's back modeling for RW and Co. We need to. He's just showing up in sharp suits and
His
getting the
beautiful
guys all
facial hair.
fired up.
Yeah.
Yeah. His facial hair is gross. Like
It's
I like the flow,
Yeah.
but his stupid mustache.
It's really
is
pencil-y.
gross. It's not nice. It's not like fleshed out enough. You
Yeah.
know, like it's just.
it's thin.
He looks
it's,
like a
yeah,
homeless pirate or something.
homeless pirate.
He just needs to shave it, I think. He
Keep it.
He looked better with long hair and clean shaven, I think.
I'm just a fan of facial hair in general.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind facial hair, like Brent Burns or Jumbo, but it's just like his just doesn't look the same. Don't try and tell me.
Dare we say greasy?
I mean, he's not like Brent Sopel level greasy, but I don't think it looks very good. Because I went into RW and Co., which obviously he has partnered with or whatever.
Yep.
And I was with my girlfriend, and she was like, "Who is that gross guy?" And I was like, "That's Erik Karlsson. He's one of the best players in the league." She's like, "He's gross." I was like, "Yeah, I mean
That's amazing.
the PK Subban ones were better. PK knows how to rock a suit."
Yeah.
And he's more handsome, I think. Just everyone is like in love with Erik Karlsson online.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I like the flow, but the beard is just gross. Anyway, moving back on to hockey-related subjects.
We're done with facial hair for now.
Yeah.
Wait until the playoffs.
So in the Pacific, Vegas is third. They're at 70 games played, and they're at 81 points. So a bit of a drop-off there, but they're 6-3-1 in their last 10. So all the top three teams in the Pacific are like on fire, basically. They're all doing really well. And Vegas has been, I think there was a time, I'm not sure if they've lost yet, but I believe they went like 5 games undefeated after the trade deadline. I'm not sure when these losses
Fell on there.
before or after.
I'm pretty sure just within the last game or two, they gave up the first goal with Stone on the ice.
Wow.
It's just he's been insane there, and they've got just this great core of a team.
Yeah, and he's
that they've
just
managed to
slotted
develop.
in so nice with Stastny and Pacioretty. We mentioned that last episode, but
Yeah,
man, they're gonna be
a
tough team
yeah.
to face. And you're right with San Jose; it doesn't want to face them first round, and
Yeah.
neither would Calgary. I think they're better than that point total suggests because of their moves at the trade deadline.
And I
but
think they started off a little bit slow too, which kind of
Yeah.
set them back a few games.
So anyway, in the wild card, sitting at number 1 right now is Dallas. So they're 68 games played, and they're at 75 points, and they're 6-4-0 in their last 10. So basically, all these teams have positive records except for Winnipeg, and I guess Nashville's 500.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything to mention about Dallas. I guess besides Radulov got, he was assessed like a team suspension for missing a practice.
Yeah, he was late or something, and then he came back and scored a hattie the next
Yeah.
game.
So maybe they should do that every other game.
Yeah.
Just bench him. And then Minnesota's second wild card spot, and they're at 69 games played
Nice.
and 74 points, and they're 6-2-2 in their last 10.
Yeah. So even Minnesota has turned it up after kind of they hit a real rough patch, I think, around the trade deadline there, and Dubnyk looked frustrated. The team was like disheartened almost, it looked like, on the ice, and they were just kind of falling down into mediocrity. But apparently their trades did something okay,
which is surprising because they seem just outright bad.
Yeah,
at a glance.
Maybe just kind of like that kick in the ass.
Yeah, those 2 overtime losses or shootout losses to Nashville, which were like basically back to back.
Right.
Because Johansson got the winner in both of them, I think.
And Dubnyk was pissed.
Yeah, and the one that he had a right to be pissed about, he wasn't even in net for. It was whoever the fuck. I don't know.
Was their backup Stalock? No. I don't even
Stalock?
know. I don't know.
Might have been Stalock.
I don't even know if is Stalock in Minnesota. Has he been there? Why do I have his name in Minnesota?
I think it was Stalock. Anyway, just like Johansson just pushed the pad in, basically. Like, he made the save, but he just pushed it in.
Yeah.
All in one move, but it was just, he was pissed, but they let it stand. And then they played him again, and then Johansson got the winner against Dubnyk, where Dubnyk was mad because Johansson just went like really slow. He was still moving though; he didn't just stop.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just interesting that they faced him like almost. It was almost like a series. Like it was so close together.
Yeah, we don't see that much anymore.
And
the close games like that.
Yeah, and then in Nashville won in a shootout again. So it was kind of funny.
Screw you.
Yeah. I like series like in baseball, but there's a much longer season.
Yeah.
But it is nice when you for traveling and watching the games and stuff, and in baseball you have like different starting pitchers and stuff, so you see like a different part of the team every game.
I mean, I totally remember. I guess now we just end up with these weird things where it's usually just the Eastern Western games where they play the same team twice in 2 weeks, and then you never see them again the rest of the season.
Yeah,
but I don't see this very often anymore, where it's like big rivalry teams play each other on back-to-back nights. Edmonton Calgary used to have like on a weekend be like Edmonton Saturday, Calgary Sunday.
like a home and home.
Yeah, home and home.
Yeah, I would like if the league had that a bit more, but with only playing like a team twice, if you're East West, or what is it in interdivisional? Like
I think it's 4.
3 or 4.
I think it's 4, and there might be one team that's 3, or maybe the conference is like that.
Yeah.
So you end up condensing them all into a couple of days like that.
Yeah. I just really like that from baseball. Just seeing a certain team like 4 days in a row or whatever.
Yeah.
It's nice. Obviously different.
So what we're saying here is the NHL should switch to 160 game schedule.
Yeah, it's like 162 or something.
So that we can have these 4 game series with every team.
Basically double.
Yeah.
The amount of games
Make
the same span of time.
Yeah.
So just
Can't
a
extend
game
the season
every night, just like baseball. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta finish the game at 10, travel and get in a hotel at 2, 3 in the morning, play another game that day.
Fuck hotels. Just get a team RV, one big RV, and then you camp out outside the arena, and then
caravan it.
Yeah.
Tailgate party.
Tailgate, and then go play. Yeah. You would not be a drop off in play at all.
No,
it'd be the exact same level.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Maybe if you had like a 48-man roster.
Basically, you just run with 2 teams.
Yeah.
It's like the split squad games in preseason.
Yeah. So, rounding out this wild card, you have Arizona right behind Minnesota, and actually it looks like they'll pass them because they're at 68 games played and 73 points, so they're just 1 point back, but they have a game in hand on Minnesota.
Yeah.
And they're 8-2-0 in their last 10.
Arizona is on a streak right now.
Yeah.
And what's even more amazing is that they've stayed this competitive despite missing like half of their roster for half the season.
They have something crazy like 330 man games lost or whatever that stat is.
They're not leading the league in that, but the amount of just key injuries they've had, and it's just like every single game some player was getting injured with like 2 to 4 weeks here, 2 to 4 weeks there.
Who is number 1 then?
It was like Anaheim or Vancouver.
Oh yeah, I would say that Arizona probably has been missing like better key players.
I think I can't remember if the one I saw was quality of man games lost, but Arizona's missing key parts of their team anyways. Right? Maybe not star players for the rest of the league, but players who are important to their team.
Yeah, I would like to see them get into playoffs. I'm really pulling for Arizona and Carolina.
I like the nice thing with Arizona is that you kind of get like the old school crowd that's kind of questioning Chayka and his role because he's using a lot of kind of more specific stats and analytics and stuff to build his team, and he's not just going off of old school stuff.
Well,
so
you
it's
also
nice
have
to see this new
good
mentality.
vets. You got good vets like Pavel Datsyuk and
Oh, yeah.
Marian Hossa.
Chris Pronger for a few years.
Yeah.
You got these great leaders coming in
Yeah, I mean,
and
that
showing all the
doesn't-
young guys the ropes.
That pays for itself,
Yeah.
really. So yeah, you have Arizona, and then Colorado is right behind them. 69 games played
Nice.
and 72 points. So they're just 1 point back, but they've played one more game.
Yeah, and they just lost their captain until
Yeah,
the
so
playoffs.
Landeskog is out 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, which
Considering he's a third of their offense.
yeah, like they're not a very deep team. They're pretty much led by that McKinnon, Rantanen, Landeskog line. So it might be a bit difficult for them to, handle this loss to their lineup. But you gotta wonder, like, okay, so you still have 2/3 of that line, probably the more offensive 2/3. So can someone else slot in and contribute in a reasonable role?
Yeah, I mean
to
they
keep it
have
going.
that line has been split up this season periodically, but that's a pretty big blow.
Yeah, you lose your captain in the middle of a playoff race. Like,
Yeah, and they're 6-3-1 in their last 10, but to lose Landeskog is huge to that team.
Yeah.
Just with his offensive talent and his physicality. I mean, even if they make playoffs, like
I think he'll be back by then.
well, it's 4 to 6 weeks.
Which,
There's only
I mean,
a month left,
It's a playoff thing. They're probably gonna. He'd come back early, I imagine.
probably.
That's the culture.
Yeah,
We also don't know what was the injury? Was it like a shoulder or something?
I think it's upper body.
It's something to do with his arm.
Because he got hit by like a goalie or something.
Yeah, he went in behind the net and he got like pinched in between the boards of the goalie, and his arm was just kind of like caught in there. So something in there.
The amount of shit that he's done to other players, like cross-checking them in the head, I don't really have any sympathy for him.
Not in that sense, but it was just kind of a fluky play, anyways.
I mean, do you remember when he like cross-checked Matthew Tkachuk? I'm sure you felt really bad about it. But
Very.
do you remember that?
I don't think I remember the play actually.
Tkachuk was like he was behind the net, and he just hit him like right in the head from behind.
Oh, yeah.
Landeskog's pretty dirty.
Oh, he is.
He's cleaned it up, and he's more
yeah.
celebrated now as like offensive, but
Yeah, he had a couple years where he was regularly
checking elbows and
Yeah. elbows,
and
cross
he hit,
checks.
who was it? Simone Dupre, the guy who had he had to like quit hockey.
Yeah.
Because Landeskog, I think, fucking elbowed him in the head after he came back from concussion. That was kind of like that was it.
Yeah, it's like it wasn't even a dirty play that injured him. It was just a stupid fluke when he got his arm caught between the goalie and the boards. But
Yeah,
you know.
just the amount of shit he's done. It's just like, well, you've literally caused a guy to like have to stop playing hockey. So
the sympathy vote is lost on your end.
yeah, it sucks for the Colorado, but yeah.
I will just throw this in. You didn't write them down, which is fair because there's no way they can pull off the record they need to get to the playoff pace. But Edmonton's like 67 points in 68 games right now.
Yeah, I mean the
so-
West is crazy, so I just drew it off at Colorado.
Yeah,
because
which
that's
is
what I
fair.
thought was realistic.
If Edmonton's so the current playoff pace is about 88 to 90 points. For Edmonton to hit that, they need to go like 11-3 or it's 11-4, I think.
And
I think it's
everybody else
11-3
needs to
now.
lose.
What's that?
Does everybody else need to go like 0-13 or something?
Well, that'd be ideal, but no, that's if they play at their current points percentage pace, puts the playoff mark at 88 to 90 points. So
I mean, there's a chance. I'd like to see
yeah,
them
and
get in. But
Edmonton's schedule playing out, like they do have a weak schedule. They've got really weak opponents the rest of the season that they
right.
should win. They should win reliably 7 to 9 of those games.
Well, I mean, there's a shot.
Yeah. So they're not going to. I can't see them pulling that off. That type of a streak off at this point. But
if that goon McDavid doesn't get suspended anymore.
yeah, it's gonna be huge. He's got to clean it up a little bit.
Yeah. And then speaking of suspensions,
we'll transition very nicely into this. It's going to be...
McDavid's number 2, Jack Eichel, got suspended.
Yep.
I don't agree with it. Anyway, he got suspended for 2 games for a hit to the head on Carl Soderberg from Colorado. And my take of it is Soderberg used his face to hit Jack Eichel's elbow while Jack Eichel was skating in front of him.
Stop hitting yourself.
So I get that it was like a headshot, but it looked like Eichel was just trying to go for the puck and use body position to block Soderberg. And Soderberg leaned down so far that he hit Eichel's arm as he was skating by him. It was really weird contact because Eichel was like past him.
Yeah, the timing was off. Like Eichel was early. If he was trying to hit Soderberg, he was way off on timing. If he was just going for the puck, then it's just a really weird...
And he hit like Eichel's back elbow.
Yeah, it was like
too.
the back of his upper arm.
So like
Somehow.
Eichel's back was to Soderberg, and it wasn't even like his closest arm to him. It was like his far back left arm.
Yeah,
so
it was a bit of an odd one.
Weird suspension, and
yeah.
Eichel had a comment on it.
We'll pull up the quote here. So there's a whole thing in here where he's talking about why he doesn't agree with it. But I think the key takeaway is one of the second paragraph here where he says, I don't know, it's kind of frustrating. If they're going to have a rule about headshots, it has to be pretty black and white. I mean, if all headshots are suspendable, suspend all headshots. But it's tough to see them picking and choosing what they feel is suspendable, but it's a decision you have to live with. And I think that sentiment is where a lot of the frustration for fans comes from in watching these suspensions play out. And if it's having that impact on the players, like, it's not just Eichel who's going to see that. I mean, Voracek's tweet on his suspension, we'll talk about that in a minute, was of a similar nature, like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and like Eichel expresses in here as well that he doesn't feel like he's personally to blame for the hit, and he actually puts fault on Soderberg for putting himself in that situation. It says, if you watch the hit, he actually is at fault for dropping his head down there. I mean, it's a 50-50 puck that I'm trying to make a hockey play on. I mean, you see me, I have on the eyes of the puck the whole time, and I actually make a play on the puck after.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. I don't think he was trying to hit him. I think he was just trying to get body position, and Soderberg was trying to reach for the puck. Maybe he didn't see Eichel coming because he was coming perpendicular to him, kind of crossing his tee. But I really don't believe it was a headshot. There was no intention there. It was just an unfortunate play that Soderberg basically ran into Eichel.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm admittedly trigger happy on suspensions, and I'm more like I see head contact or high contact, and I'm okay with the suspension on it. But you got to look at the rule that the NHL has in place on this, where it specifically says that a player putting himself in a vulnerable position is a factor in the decision on whether or not it's an illegal check. And yes, Eichel's body comes in contact with Soderberg's head. I'm not going to say Eichel hit Soderberg in the head. His body comes in contact with Soderberg's head.
Yeah.
And Soderberg puts himself in a bad position by leaning so far forward for the play on the puck. So he doesn't actually have the puck, so I can see an interference, I guess, because he hits him without the puck.
Right.
And I'm okay with the suspension because of the head contact, but it's that factor of intent and the player who received the hit being like putting himself in a bad position. Yeah.
I know what you're saying, and my view on these is that the player who is at fault is not the person suspended in both of these players.
Yeah.
Like it's...
Yeah, I see that now with Voracek. Now that I've watched it a few more times.
Boychuk. We'll talk about Voracek in a second, but Soderberg puts himself in that position. Eichel's not trying to hit him in the head. So why suspend Eichel for incidental head contact?
Yeah.
It's not intent. He's not even trying to hit him. So
yeah,
it just seems like a weird
if this is the precedent,
to suspend somebody.
Yeah, like if this is the precedent they're trying to set, if they're finally starting to clue in and say like, oh, all head contact is going to be a disciplinary action, then okay, like let's see this consistency moving forward.
But why start now?
Yeah. And why start with that?
With like 15 games left. Why start now? We're implementing a new standard, something that's happened in probably 50% of games this season. We're going to start suspending it. And it's not on like clear, obvious headshot players. It's on skilled players. players that make
with
every
no
team
history.
money and are clean
Who
players.
cares about the money? Players with zero history of
Well, also
bad
players
plays.
that could draw like a million penalties a game, like McDavid
Yeah.
and Eichel,
Oh, for sure.
right? Like
I mean, how many
the
montages
amount
can
of
you make
shit
of
that people
McDavid?
get away with, and like Johnny Gaudreau, not that he's been suspended, but like players like that, like that's probably gonna be the next guys. Johnny Hockey's gonna get suspended for a head contact.
Yeah, he's gonna get suspended for a head contact on some guys like 6'6",
Yeah,
and we're gonna
Yeah.
be sitting here wondering how the hell like 5'8" Johnny Gaudreau hit someone in the head.
yeah, yeah,
And again, it's gonna be vulnerable position.
yeah. So Voracek, his is very similar in my mind, and it's even more surprising to me that he got suspended, and apparently surprising to Jake Voracek because he
Yeah.
tweeted out the crying, laughing emoji face.
Yeah. And Eichel actually retweeted that at the
Yeah,
same. So
that's pretty funny.
they've got similar reactions here going on here.
Yeah, so this play, it was like a play in the corner along the boards, and Voracek was facing the boards, and the puck was coming around to him, and you see Boychuk skating like a million miles an hour from
Yeah.
the far blue line,
Which, like, what's his play there?
and he's just gunning it for Voracek, and Voracek basically turns a little bit and braces and pushes his back up a bit.
Yeah.
And he
So,
hits.
wall him.
But yeah, he just basically he's bracing. He's bracing for contact or just a board battle or something. And Boychuk flies into him like head first and then goes down
Yeah.
and then gets all mad. The Islanders get all mad at Voracek, and Voracek gets a 5-minute major, and then after the game gets 2-game suspension.
Which, like, at first I will admit, like, I saw the contact. The contact between the two players was high on Boychuk. It's not a headshot per se because like he just smashed his head into Voracek's back.
Yeah,
But and like Voracek's protecting himself because what is Boychuk's play on this?
He's charging him.
Like
He's from behind
like
into the boards.
Boychuk's not dirty. He's physical, but he's not dirty. So like, what's his play gonna be? He's not gonna sneak between Voracek and the boards to the puck. He's gonna smash right into Voracek.
Yeah, it's like he was trying to push him through the boards on that play,
Yeah.
and it's just a good reverse hit in my
Yeah.
mind.
I can see an interference on it because their puck wasn't there.
Yeah, I mean, I get like
And
maybe it's coincidental 2-minute penalties, one for charging, one for interference.
yeah, that would make a lot of sense. And I think probably just because Boychuk went down so hard.
Yeah, I think there's only a call on this play because Boychuk got hurt. I don't even think there should have been a minor penalty called if you're not going to give one to Boychuk because he puts himself in that situation of
And
charging
again,
him.
yeah, the same thing. Like he sort of goes a bit more upright by the time the contact is made, but he's skating forward with his head straight out again.
Yeah,
and
it's
to
just,
Voracek's back.
no hockey school teaches you to do that.
No.
And it's very surprising that Voracek got even a penalty to me because that play happens all the time, a reverse hit. I mean, that happened in the Stanley Cup Finals. Oshie reverse hit. Who was it? Fucking Colin Miller.
I honestly don't remember this particular
Anyway,
hit.
I think it was
Yeah.
it was either Shea Theodore or Colin Miller, but like he reverse hit them and like their helmet hit each other or something, and one of like the defender was
right.
cut. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember the play. I don't remember who it was.
So it's just like a solid reverse hit, like
Yeah.
brace for a hit, right? And that happens all the time, and
Yeah.
it's just
And I think,
weird to call it
yeah,
suspension on that because in my head, yeah, you want to get rid of head hitting and head contact and all that, but how are you head hunting someone when they're coming at you from behind you? Like,
Exactly.
It's just
like
it seems
used
physically
to,
impossible,
It's hard,
and like it's like a Cronwall hit, right?
basically.
But you're not moving. You're stationary and just like
You're stationary,
standing
not
someone
facing
up.
the guy. The
so you're
yeah.
just it's like the a movable object thing, right? Like it's a stationary object and a movable object like hitting each other, and
yeah,
it's just like you're the one that's moving is gonna get fucked. Like
basically.
Voracek's just big, strong, standing up his ground, and
basically.
Boychuk gets screwed.
And yeah, that's the speed that he's coming in with and the angle. I mean, the little bit of an argument I can see, like I'm not gonna argue the suspension. I don't like I just said, I'm trigger happy on those for high contact, but it's a weird one because how like what kind of precedent are you setting off of that?
Yeah, you can't defend yourself when someone's charging you. You're supposed to just take the hit.
Yeah, it's just a weird
Take
play.
the hit so that Boychuk can get suspended.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I know Philly fans are upset because they have like Malkin swing. They're swinging a
And
stick.
that's another thing, like, because I want to mention Nick Ritchie too. But we've had multiple instances this season of players using stick violence with swinging sticks, high cross checks.
You get a fine.
And yeah, they get a fine. They get nothing.
Which is more violent.
What's worse? It's not a part of the game.
More violent and more. There's definitely intent.
Yeah, like
to injure.
Stick violence is worse than a body check.
Yeah.
Unless you're blatantly throwing like a chicken wing elbow someone.
I think the Eichel and the Voracek hits are unfortunate.
Yeah.
But they're hockey plays.
Ultimately, yeah.
And you should suspend that based on the outcome. Did Soderberg leave the game?
I can't remember. I was watching the game, but I can't remember if he
I know
was back right away.
Boychuk was skating off the ice and yelling at Flyers. So
There was some threats yelled.
They play again sometime soon.
Ooh.
Should be a good game.
Yeah, feisty.
Maybe the Islanders will take themselves out of the game somehow. I don't know. But yeah, getting back to the stick stuff, like that's not a hockey play.
No.
I mean, maybe in the 1950s. Oh, that's one thing I want to mention is rip Ted Lindsay.
Oh yeah. We'll save
because he's known for his big stick swings.
Yes.
But yeah, like those aren't hockey plays.
No.
And there's definitely intent to injure,
and
then you get fined like $5,500.
Yeah. So Nick Ritchie over the weekend, cross checks. I believe it was Folan from the Montreal Canadiens. He cross checks him in the throat for no reason,
which is fucking dangerous.
And he gets fined. That's it.
You could like
and
send a
the other thing to mention here: Eichel and Voracek, no history of dirty plays. Nick Ritchie has been suspended at least once, and he's been thrown out of a game for a bad hit another time. So this is someone with a history who goes and cross-checks someone in the throat, and he gets fined for it.
Well, apparently that's supposed to be taken into account for suspension length.
Yeah, so we've got 3 players with no history of being... Well, I guess McDavid's gotten a bit pissy sometimes.
Because I think with the whole Tom Wilson thing is that the history is like a multiplier. So it doesn't determine if they're suspended or not. It just determines the length.
Okay.
I believe. I'm kind of talking out of my ass here a little bit, but
it would make more sense.
I seem to remember that being the case, is that repeat offender does not determine if you're suspended. The play determines if you're suspended. But if you are a repeat offender, it adds on to however many games it would be.
So
which
how
makes
does that
sense
work
for Wilson because his hit was suspension worthy, but he's a repeat offender, so he got a fucking book thrown at him.
Which, okay, that makes sense.
It was like something like, 4 times the normal suspension or something like that. So with Ritchie and stuff, they should be suspended, and they should be suspended longer. Whereas Voracek and Eichel get suspended 2 games for something that's, in my opinion, not even suspension worthy, not even worthy of being looked at. But they get more games than someone who does a piece of shit move, gutless move, try and actually hurt somebody.
Exactly. There's no point to cross-check a guy in the throat. Like with Eichel and Voracek, they were just playing hockey. There's no elbow, there's no shoulder, there's no like leaning into like dirty contact. Like there's no blatant move made to be dirty. Yeah. They're just playing hockey with an unfortunate result.
Yeah, I get that it's hard to determine what's suspension worthy and not, but on these they're just case after case. Just seems like they're not following the rule book, and they're just doing whatever.
Yeah, the things that you would think are actual dirty, like when Doughty blatantly sticks his elbow behind him into McDavid's face for no reason. The play's nowhere near
or
them.
the Perry thing for the Oilers.
Yeah, Perry cross-checking Nurse in the face.
The Capitals, you have Morrissey doing the same thing as Matheson.
Yeah.
Like,
they don't seem to have that consistency going.
Like, if they're setting a precedent, they're not following it.
And
they're
like you
setting
said,
it, but then just not completely not looking at it.
Yeah, and like you said, why are they setting it now? And what brings these plays to be the precedent they want to set?
Like 70 games into the season, we're changing the rules.
Yeah. And
maybe it's just
It's
an
like what is
internal get ready for playoff hockey. You'd think
Yeah,
it'd go the opposite
know.
direction. Like, we're not calling that anymore.
So just to build off of this, is Philip Forsberg now the dirtiest player in the NHL?
Yeah, by far. Yeah, I just don't get it. It's just, I don't want to keep talking about suspensions and shit, but they just keep doing stupid decisions.
Well, yeah, it's every single week.
Yeah, I mean, I get with so many games going on, there's bound to be things to look at, dirty plays and whatnot, but it just seems like these two are just a waste of everyone's time, and Voracek's appealing his suspension.
Yeah, and they're doing like an expedited one too, so it's like, get this done. So
hopefully
appealing
he
it
can
the next
actually
day.
play a game
Yeah.
before it's gone over and he just gets his money back, because they're in a playoff race.
Oh yeah.
Like, it would mean
So-
more to Voracek to play the game than to get paid, right? Because if they don't settle this before the 2-game suspension is up, he just loses the money, or he might get the money back if they say, "Oh, we'll rescind it to 1
Yeah,
game."
so they play tonight.
Yeah.
So he's going to miss that game because the appeal isn't until tomorrow,
Yeah, so hopefully
which
they
will be the 12th.
determine what goes on, because with the Tom Wilson one, they waited so long that they rescinded it like as much as they could, basically, and he just got some money back.
Yeah, so like you think he ended up coming back like a game or two early?
Yeah,
Something.
they took so
Something
long
small.
that it's just like, okay, well, whatever. What's
Yeah.
the point?
So.
So yeah, I
Just
don't know.
Question
I hope
marks.
he wins this appeal.
I kind of do too, because I don't want to see that type of play to start becoming labeled as dirty for some reason.
Well, even if it is, who fucking knows if the next time it happens if they'll suspend it?
Yeah,
Because
which,
there's,
off the consistency that we have, the precedent
Yeah.
that we actually have over the last few years,
Like,
it's like, well, is
there's
that
no
going to?
use of putting up those videos and saying what the call is, because the next time that happens, they don't do the same thing.
They've never watched their own videos,
'Cause
basically.
if you, like Reddit comments and stuff, people are like, "Oh, this guy's a dirty player. This happened, this happened, this happened." They show like the videos, and it's like, well, it has no bearing, because they basically treat every play as a unique
Single incident.
single entity. They
Yeah.
don't look at anything else. They don't look at similar plays or anything.
Which, like, hockey is so variable that it's hard to say these two plays are exactly alike, but you got to look somewhere for
Yeah.
for like some sort of basis to go off of.
Yeah.
Like, there's going to be something that happened that is similar in nature to some extent.
Yeah. It's
And I don't think I've
bizarre.
ever seen a reverse hit like that suspended for
No.
that reason, actually, too.
no. Maybe if he like threw his head back at him or something.
If the arm came back, I can see it. I can, like I said, I can see it for the interference too, in the way he steps into the hit. But that's so much bracing himself for a hit to stop someone from coming and boarding him.
Yeah, just weird. Weird. Anyway, I guess that's all I really had written down. Is there anything else you wanted to cover?
Let's see. How about, well, first off, we can actually talk about Ted Lindsay for a second here.
Yeah.
So, one of the most influential people in hockey history, in the NHL history, founded the NHLPA, was like a huge proponent for players' rights, and supporting and just encouraging players. And I mean, he's got the Outstanding Player Award named after him.
Yeah.
So
Played on the production line with Abel and Howe. Pretty dominant. He's got 4 cups.
yeah, so unreal hockey figure.
Terrible Ted. He was like something like 5'7" or something, and like play back then was just, like,
Yeah.
craziness on the ice. Like,
So
to
he
be
was
that-
a
to
tough
be
guy.
a smaller guy and to
Yeah.
just have that rep, it's pretty huge. And like you were saying, pretty instrumental in the NHLPA.
And I think
And he actually got traded because of that from Detroit to Chicago,
yeah,
because he wanted to actually have rights.
yeah,
as
he
a
wanted
player.
he wanted rights, he wanted, the players union and all that. And in typical fashion, you get fired and or removed from service of that organization.
Yeah, I was listening to Spittin' Chicklets, and they're talking about him, and they said that when someone would talk about Jean Beliveau, he would actually stand up because he had so much like respect and admiration
Wow.
for him. I was like, wow, no one even does that for anybody.
Yeah,
Like,
nobody
think about,
does
like,
that for
the
Wayne.
Queen in England, and no one would do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely old school. One of the greatest. pretty remarkable man.
Yeah.
And left his impact on the game.
For sure.
And I was watching a bunch of games that week after he passed away, and there's some really good tributes. And the Wings didn't have a very good one.
I think I missed it. All I saw was like the moment of silence.
Yeah, I mean, if they had one, I watched their broadcast, and they had they were talking about him like on the broadcast before the game started, but at the actual arena, unless I totally missed it, they didn't show anything.
No, maybe they did it before.
Maybe.
Like they could have done that thing where it's like, hey, show up half an hour early.
Because like
this
before
tribute.
that moment of silence, they had like a very brief video, but they did have that video. So I don't know if they showed another one that was longer.
Maybe.
But it would seem like every other team that I watched, they had like a longer video that was better. So it just seemed weird that the Wings had like the worst one.
Oh yeah, I mean he
But
is a wing.
They put like the numbers, his like Ted number 7 on like every team's arena.
Yeah,
in the corners.
In the corner there.
And then Detroit did 7 behind the goal.
Okay.
And then they have like a number on their jerseys. It seems like Detroit has a different number on their jersey every year now because all these guys are dying. And same with Montreal and New York Rangers. Wasn't there another Ranger that just passed away?
Yeah, I can't remember his name. I'm not familiar with him, but he was a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I can't remember his name either.
Harry something.
I'm not sure. But yeah, it's sad that all these original players, original 6 guys are
all these
getting to that age now.
It's gonna be hard to start seeing like some of these guys that like we know them to be like huge stars from right before we were watching hockey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And it's gonna be just and with kind of the last 20-30 years here, probably like the 70s through the 90s being so instrumental in the development of the game. Like, so we're gonna have some key figures.
Yeah.
Passing really soon, I think.
Yeah, they're definitely all aging. It's just sad.
Yeah. So I awkwardly laugh.
Yeah, but I mean, it's sometimes that's what it takes for people to learn about that person and what they did, right? Like especially younger people.
Yeah, I mean, I got to be like, how many hockey fans, especially with how much the game has grown, how many hockey fans know what Ted Lindsay did?
Yeah.
And how important he was. Like, I've studied a little bit of hockey history. Like, I kind of know who he was and stuff. But with the amount that the game's grown and it's no longer just like a little niche sport, like how many people in these Sunbelt teams are going to know who Ted Lindsay is? So
yeah,
now they know who he is.
Well, I mean,
and how important he was.
Even in Canada, like
for
people
sure.
know like Gretzky and Crosby and Ovechkin and all the big names, but
the big names of now when they
casual fans not going to know who Ted Lindsay is.
No.
They probably don't even know who Gordie Howe is. Casual fan.
I feel like they might just because he was in the news more recently. Saskatchewan for sure.
But if you're just someone who wasn't into sports growing up or something,
for sure,
you won't know. You might hear his name, but you won't really know who he is.
Exactly.
Unless you look him up. But yeah, I mean, sad to think about, but sometimes that's just what it takes for people to learn how great someone was, is for them to not be around anymore.
Yeah.
Not just for hockey players, but for anybody, right? Like, because then people start telling stories and stuff about them and kind of gets it out there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we always end on happy notes on this.
How about we actually do? We've got a couple of players here who played some game milestones. We can end on a little bit nicer of a note.
Us.
I'll end on the better note. So we got, first off, Ryan Kessler played his 1,000th game last week. So, player aside, that's a huge milestone for anybody. Especially with him, he's dealt with really bad injury issues the last couple of years.
I was gonna say, especially having like half the body he normally has.
Yeah.
Then you have to like repair his whole butt. Like he like lost all his muscle in his
honestly,
ass
his
or
entire
something.
lower body is just a train wreck from
It's
the
just
sounds
bones.
of it. It's just a skeleton.
Mr. Skeletal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was surprising that he hadn't played that earlier to me because of all those injuries, I guess.
Like, he's been around for a long time.
Forever.
He's probably early 2000s draft.
Especially living by Vancouver, like he played some hard minutes in Vancouver.
Yeah, and he's always been that type of hard-nosed physical guy, pest.
Yeah.
So, we've got him playing his 1,000th and Matt Cullen playing his 1,500th.
Wow.
Which, I mean, that guy's he's still around. Every single year, he just gets another 1-year contract in like Minnesota or Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I saw a thing on Reddit, and it was he has played with like over 50% of the players in the history of the league have played in the league with Matt Cullen in the league.
Which, that's just absurd to think about.
It's crazy. Like, he's played with the majority of the entire NHL database of players.
Yeah. I don't think he's having a very good year in Pittsburgh, so this might be his last. But
Maybe
maybe
he'll go to Ottawa.
I'm not even kidding when I say in the NHL video games from like 2011 until probably 17, 18. In the first off season, I would always end up signing Matt Cullen as a depth forward because he was always good. He always put up like 20 goals in the game for some reason for me.
Face-off man.
Face-offs, fourth line center, perfect. I would always sign him.
Yeah, I'm okay with him being on Pittsburgh if he's slow now.
Yeah, of course.
Good Branson, Johnson.
Pittsburgh trying to win in
Cullen.
2009 again.
Yeah, we've got Hagelin.
Yeah.
We've got the speed.
You guys are modernizing Pittsburgh, going back in time.
Yeah. All right, well, maybe we'll end on that happier note.
Yes.
So congratulations to them. Rip Ted Lindsay, and we'll catch you guys next time.